Hello, everyone. My name is Gina Baramo, and I'm the Outreach Manager for NOVA, the science documentary series on PBS. NOVA is produced by WGBH Boston and is the most watched primetime science series on American television. In addition to our weekly television broadcast, we extend our award-winning science reporting both online and in classrooms. Our education outreach team tailors our editorial content into digital resources for STEM educators and offers a free library of more than 1,500 resources featuring videos, audio segments, lesson plans, and interactives that are aligned to teaching standards, all on PBS LearningMedia. Today, I'm going to be sharing one of our newest resources, the NOVA Polar Lab, a free online experience that sends students on an interactive quest to see how the poles are key to understanding Earth's climate, past, present, and future. The Polar Lab is part of our NOVA Labs platform, which launched in 2012. NOVA Labs builds upon our expertise in science storytelling to create games and interactives that foster authentic scientific exploration for students and lifelong learners. From constructing renewable energy systems to tracking cloud movement and designing RNA molecules, NOVA Labs participants can conduct investigations by visualizing, analyzing, and sharing the same data that scientists use. Each of the labs focuses on a different content area and leverages a different data set or partnership with a research institution. All of the games are free and completely web-based. While the labs run best on Chromebooks, PCs, and MacBooks, some like the Evolution Lab can also be used on iPads. In January of 2020, we released the Polar Lab. And this lab was much different from our previous games because it was a piece of a larger National Science Foundation project, Polar Extremes. Polar Extremes is a multi-platform project that brings the field of polar science to life for all kinds of learners through traditional storytelling and experiential digital learning environments. The project consists of 3 parts. Polar Extremes, a 2-hour broadcast special hosted by Kirk Johnson, Sant Director of the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History. Antarctic Extremes, a 10-part digital series hosted by NOVA reporters Caitlin Sachs and Arlo Perez. And finally, the NOVA Polar Lab, a web-based experience that uses 360 videos, interviews with scientists, and mini-games. Our goal for the Polar Lab was to make the journey, science, and environments from Antarctic Extremes and Polar Extremes interactive and accessible for middle and high school students. We surveyed formal and informal science educators across the country to understand how they teach climate change to their students, what major conceptual challenges exist, and which topics their students enjoy learning about the most. We used this survey data, playtesting data, and next generation science standards for earth science and life science to create the final Polar Lab. So now we're going to take a closer look at the lab, starting with the introductory video, and then I'll walk you through some gameplay.
You've probably heard something big is happening to our planet. Earth's climate is changing, and there's a lot hanging in the balance. But what does it all mean? And how does it compare to what's come before? It turns out the poles, the Arctic and the Antarctic, have quite a bit to tell us. Locked inside the ice and rocks at the top and bottom of the world are clues about our planet and its climate, where it's been, what's happening now, and where we might be headed. Welcome to the NOVA Polar Lab. I'm Caitlin at Polar Lab headquarters, and you're going on quite the journey. We've assembled a team of the best, top-notch scientists to guide you on your expedition. I'll be by your side, and we're all here to help. But it'll be up to you to find the clues and piece them together to answer some pretty big questions. Work your way from pole to pole, hopping from massive glaciers and frozen tundra to world-renowned laboratories. Watch videos, play games, solve puzzles, and earn stickers. Collect enough, and you'll unlock extra goodies. And keep track of your quests here, in your field notebook. Play the Polar Lab, and be part of the team racing to understand our planet.
Playing the Polar Lab will help students develop an understanding of Earth's natural climatic variations, hothouse versus icehouse conditions, and how human activity is currently disrupting patterns with potentially global consequences. The Polar Lab is an interdisciplinary resource spanning earth, life, and physical science standards for both middle and high school students. Once you watch the introductory video, you'll be taken to the global navigation page that looks like this. And from here, you can click and rotate the globe to find new destinations and select a location icon to start a mission. When you select a mission, you're taken to a location map that can track your progress by tallying the number of stickers collected and missions completed. On Mission 1 in Ellesmere Island, you can see there are 3 locations to visit and 8 stickers to collect. When you're ready, you can click Explore and you'll be on your way. The first mission takes place on Ellesmere Island, Canada. Although today the area is a treeless tundra above the Arctic Circle, you will encounter evidence that the environment used to be quite different. Over the course of this mission, you are trying to piece together the clues to determine what the high Arctic was like in the deep past, 50 million years ago. And you've landed, and this is what it looks like. One of the clues you'll use are the fossils that are found on Ellesmere Island. You'll collect a variety of fossils, piece them together, and then examine the specimen from all angles. You'll compare the specimens you've found to present-day species, and from there, draw conclusions about the Arctic environment these animals once lived in 50 million years ago. In Mission 2, you'll visit the National Lacustrine Core Facility in Minnesota to take a closer look at a mud core sample from the bottom of Lake Elgageken in northern Siberia. Counting pollen from different types of plants reveals what grew around an Arctic Siberian lake. And looking at how these pollen percentages changed over time can reveal how the climate in this area has changed in the more recent past, the last million years or so. So you can also see how the percentages change between grass and tree pollen and what that means for the climate during that time. If you ever want to review your findings, everything you've learned and all the data you've collected so far can be found in your notebook. It can be referenced at any time while playing the lab by clicking on the pencil icon in the top right-hand corner. These are just some small pieces of an hour-and-a-half experience that's meant to immerse players into the world of polar science and climate change over deep time. I highly encourage you to continue playing the other modules for more mini-games, 360 videos, and interviews with scientists. Teachers that are interested in using the Polar Lab with their students can access our free lesson plan to emphasize certain content areas through discussions and extension activities. It takes about 3 hours to complete the entire Polar Lab lesson plan with extension activities. The Polar Lab game and lesson plan can be found in our larger Polar Extremes collection on PBS LearningMedia. This collection features videos, media galleries, and interactives from all 3 parts of the Polar Extremes project. This collection is still being updated, so continue to check the collection over the next few weeks for new resources. Here are all the links to the items I discussed today, as well as the best ways to keep in touch with Nova Education. Follow Nova Education on Facebook and Twitter for updates on new resources and to let us know what you think of the lab and the collection. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to answering any questions you may have on Saturday.